What if I told you that the executives running Las Vegas have a plan for 2026 that treats you like a number on a spreadsheet? Not a guest, not a loyal visitor, just a revenue unit to be squeezed and discarded. Behind closed boardroom doors, casino CEOs are making calculated decisions that are silently draining the soul from Sin City and changing how much you pay, how long you stay, and what you get in return. These aren't mistakes, they're strategies. And by the time you realize what's happening, you've already paid the price. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear might change how you see Vegas forever. Number 10. Treating Vegas as a balance sheet, not a city. Once upon a time, casino executives walked the floor. They knew dealers by name. They understood that a guest who felt special would return for decades. That era is over. Today, the people running Las Vegas view the Strip the way Wall Street views a stock ticker. Properties are not destinations. They are financial instruments to be leveraged, sold, and restructured for maximum quarterly yield. Consider this. In 2024, MGM Resorts repurchased over 33 million shares of its own stock. That money did not go into guest experiences. It went into boosting shareholder returns. Caesars Entertainment has slashed entertainment divisions and restructured departments not to improve shows but to hit margin targets. The city that once reinvested profits into spectacle now funnels them into buybacks and dividends. Community means nothing when every decision filters through a profit and loss statement. Repeat loyalty takes years to build. Quarterly earnings reports demand results now, so executives optimize for extraction, not relationship. The philosophy has infected every level of decision-making. Properties that once competed on experience now compete on margins. The guest becomes secondary to the investor. And what happens when a city stops caring about its guests? Those guests eventually stop caring about the city. The relationship that took 7 decades to build can unravel in just a few quarterly reports. Every decision now runs through finance teams before anyone asks whether guests will actually enjoy it. And when profit becomes the only language executives speak, individuality becomes a liability. What once made each casino unforgettable is now treated as inefficiency. Number 9. Standardizing everything across properties. Remember when every casino felt different? The Mirage had its volcano. Caesars had its Roman fantasy. Each property told its own story. Walk the Strip today, and you will notice something unsettling. The rooms look the same. The restaurants feel interchangeable. Even the scent pumped through the air conditioning seems copied from property to property. This is not an accident. Corporate standardization has become the playbook. MGM has been renovating thousands of rooms across its properties using the same furniture, the same layouts, even recycling old MGM grand pieces into Excalibur. The goal is efficiency, not enchantment. When you standardize everything, you reduce costs. Training becomes simpler. Procurement becomes cheaper. But you also kill the emotional attachment that made guests choose one property over another. Visitors used to debate whether to stay at the Bellagio or the Venetian. Now many feel like it does not matter. When everything looks the same, nothing feels special. And when nothing feels special, there is no reason to return. The irony is brutal. In chasing operational savings, these corporations are erasing the very distinctiveness that built their empires. The bean counters see identical room configurations as streamlined operations. Guests see them as proof that nobody cares about their experience. What was once a competition of imagination has become a race to the bottom of sameness. The quirky details that made each property memorable get erased in favor of corporate-approved templates. But stripping away uniqueness is just one symptom. The real damage happens when human judgment disappears entirely. Number 8. Replacing judgment with dashboard. For decades, experienced casino managers made the calls. They knew when to comp a drink. They sensed when a high roller needed attention. They understood the rhythm of a busy weekend versus a slow Tuesday. That institutional knowledge is being systematically replaced by algorithms and spreadsheets. Today, decisions flow from centralized data teams analyzing performance metrics. If a game shows lower margins, it gets removed. If a restaurant underperforms on a dashboard, it closes. The numbers dictate everything. Julian Serrano Tapas at Aria gone. International Smoke at MGM Grand? Shuttered. These were not failures of quality. They were sacrifices to the spreadsheet. The problem is that dashboards cannot measure atmosphere. They cannot quantify the feeling of discovering a hidden gem or the loyalty built through a perfectly timed gesture. When you let algorithms run hospitality, you get efficient operations, but hollow experiences. Guests sense it immediately. The magic is missing. And once magic leaves, it rarely returns. An experienced floor manager could read a room in seconds and adjust accordingly. A dashboard only sees last month's numbers. The wisdom accumulated over careers gets replaced by analysts fresh from business school who have never dealt a hand or poured a drink. The human instinct that once guided great hospitality now gets overruled by metrics that miss everything important. Yet even this data obsession pales compared to the next strategy, one that assumes you will never come back anyway. Number 7. Designing for first-time visitors only. Here is a chilling assumption baked into modern casino strategy. Tourists will not return. So why bother building loyalty? If someone visits once every few years, the smart play is to extract maximum revenue during that single trip. This mindset explains everything. The $55 resort fees, the $30 cocktails, the $20 parking charges. None of this makes sense if you want repeat customers, but it makes perfect sense if you assume each guest is a one-time transaction. The data seems to support this cynical view. Las Vegas saw a 7.3% decline in visitors during the first half of 2025. Over 1.5 million fewer tourists walked the Strip. Instead of responding with better value, executives doubled down on extraction, raise fees, cut service, squeeze harder. The logic is self-fulfilling. Treat guests like they will never return, and guess what? They never return. Meanwhile, cities like Mesquite and Reno quietly welcome the visitors' Vegas prices out. These smaller markets understand something the Strip forgot. Relationships matter more than transactions. They remember that a customer delighted today becomes a customer for life. The one-and-done mentality poisons every interaction. Why train staff to remember names when the guest is disposable? Why invest in surprises when extraction pays better? The short-term math looks brilliant until the tourists actually stop coming. Locals who once visited weekly now stay away entirely because the value proposition collapsed completely. But abandoning loyalty is only half the play. The next step is more deliberate. Number 6. Monetizing friction instead of removing it. Smart businesses identify pain points and eliminate them. Las Vegas casinos have discovered something more profitable. They create pain points and charge you to escape them. Want to check in before 3 in the afternoon? That will cost you an early check-in fee. Need to print a boarding pass? The resort fee supposedly covers that. Want a bottle of water in your room? Prepare to pay $26, a price so outrageous that MGM's own CEO publicly apologized for it. These are not services. They are manufactured inconveniences designed to generate revenue. Parking used to be free everywhere on the Strip. Then, MGM started charging in 2016. Caesars followed. Today, self-parking costs up to $25 on weekends at MGM properties. Valet runs $40. The friction that once did not exist now costs hundreds per visit. Every annoyance becomes an opportunity. Can't reach the front desk? Download the app. Need housekeeping? Request it through a chatbot. The human touches that once defined Vegas hospitality have been replaced by friction monetized at every turn. The calculation is coldly rational. Guests already committed to the trip will pay to reduce pain. So create more pain and offer more paid solutions. What the spreadsheet misses is the accumulated resentment building with every surprise charge. Stories of absurd pricing go viral on social media, permanently damaging the reputation that took decades to establish. But even this feels small compared to the hollowing out happening across entire properties. Number 5. Pushing volume. While ignoring density, executives love to talk about visitor numbers. 40 million guests, record convention attendance. But walk through certain casinos today and something feels wrong. The numbers say full. The floors feel empty. This is the paradox of volume without density. Properties chase total arrivals while hollowing out the energy that made those arrivals worthwhile. Poker rooms close. Smaller shows vanish. Lounges get replaced by kiosks. The square footage remains, but the life drains out. In 2024, hotel rooms accounted for 34% of strip casino revenue, while gambling contributed just 26%. The business model has shifted from creating vibrant casino floors to filling rooms, but rooms without energy become mere beds. Hotels without atmosphere become interchangeable boxes. Guests walk through lobbies that feel sterile. They gamble in spaces that feel cold, and they leave wondering why they bothered making the trip. When the energy disappears, so does the reason to return. The casinos have become like shopping malls in the age of Amazon. Technically operational, but spiritually vacant. You can feel the absence of life in hallways that should buzz with excitement. The volume metrics look healthy while the patient slowly flatlines. Convention attendees fill rooms, but barely touch the casino floor because nothing draws them there anymore. Yet the hollowing extends beyond physical spaces. It reaches the people who once gave Vegas its warmth. Number 4, turning hospitality staff into cost centers. The dealers who remembered your name. The bartenders who anticipated your order. The concierge who made impossible reservations happen. These people were never expenses. They were the product itself. Corporate finance sees it differently. In 2025, MGM reduced full-time employees by 7%, while revenue declined in Las Vegas. Caesars has restructured entertainment divisions multiple times, cutting experienced professionals who understood the market. Staff rotate faster. Training shrinks. The institutional knowledge that took decades to build evaporates in months. When employees become cost centers, everything suffers. Servers juggle too many tables. Front desks feel understaffed. Questions go unanswered because the person who knew the answer no longer works there. Guests notice immediately. They feel the difference between someone who cares and someone too overwhelmed to care. The hospitality industry runs on human connection. Sever that connection, and you are left with an expensive shell. The Culinary Union, representing 60,000 workers, has watched this transformation unfold. Members who once built careers now wonder if their positions will exist next year. The institutional memory of how to delight guests walks out the door with every layoff. Meanwhile, executives celebrate the improved labor costs on their quarterly calls. Workers remaining on staff get stretched so thin that genuine hospitality becomes physically impossible to deliver. But the final blow to identity comes from an unexpected direction. Number 3, outsourcing the soul of the strip. Walk into any major casino and count the celebrity chef restaurants. Gordon Ramsay has 6 locations with Caesars alone. The irony? He visits each property just once per year for contractually required photographs. He never actually cooks there. This is the new Vegas model. Outsource everything that once made properties distinctive. Celebrity chefs license their names. Club operators rent the nightlife spaces. Retail brands fill the shopping corridors. What remains is a mall of rented concepts wearing a casino costume. The strategy makes financial sense on spreadsheets. Third-party operators handle risk. Licensing fees provide predictable revenue, but identity cannot be licensed. When every property features the same famous names, nothing feels exclusive. The Cosmopolitan pioneered this approach with 9 third-party restaurants generating massive revenue. Now everyone copies the formula, but copying is not creating. And when creation stops, decline begins. The Strip is becoming a franchise of itself, repeating proven concepts while the original spark fades. A celebrity chef who appears once per year contributes nothing to culture. A nightclub operator focused on maximizing bottle service builds no loyalty to the host casino. The property becomes merely a landlord collecting rent from brands that could operate anywhere. The homegrown talent that once defined Vegas cuisine gets pushed aside for names that test well in focus groups. Yet even this identity crisis pales before what is happening on the gaming floor. Number 2, optimizing loss. Instead of fun, casinos have always held a mathematical edge. That is the business model. But the edge used to be subtle enough that players enjoyed the experience. Today, the optimization has become ruthless. 000 roulette now appears at nearly every strip casino. The house edge jumps from 5% to almost 8%. 6-5 blackjack has replaced 3-2 at most lower limit tables, nearly doubling the advantage against players. The $5 table games that once welcomed casual tourists have vanished. Today, $15 is often the minimum, with many tables starting at $25 or higher. These changes add up to one thing: faster losses. The games are engineered to drain bankrolls quickly, not to entertain. When play stops being fun, players stop playing. And when players realize the odds have shifted so dramatically against them, they stop returning. Vegas built its legend on the dream of winning. Replace that dream with the certainty of losing, and you destroy the very mythology that drew millions. Some casinos now deal blackjack games with a house edge approaching 9% when factoring in mandatory side bets. That is worse than 000. Roulette, the casual gambler gets crushed before the cocktail waitress makes her first pass. The dream of a lucky night evaporates into mathematical inevitability. Players share horror stories online about how quickly their money disappeared compared to visits from years ago. But the most dangerous assumption of all comes last. Number 1. Betting that guests will adapt instead of leave. This is the fatal gamble. Executives believe that no matter how high fees climb, no matter how diminished the experience becomes, tourists will keep coming. They assume guests will complain on social media, then book anyway. They trust the brand to override the value equation. The data says otherwise. Las Vegas has now seen 9 consecutive months of visitor decline. Tourism dropped nearly 9% in September 2025 compared to the previous year. Canadian visitors, once a reliable market, have fallen by more than 38%. Hotel occupancy has dropped over 5 percentage points. Room rates are sliding. Gaming revenue has declined. Guests are not adapting. They are leaving. They are choosing Mesquite, Reno, tribal casinos, and international destinations that actually want their business. The CEOs betting on consumer inertia have miscalculated. When you treat guests as interchangeable revenue units, they treat you as interchangeable too. There are casinos everywhere now. The monopoly on fun no longer exists. Vegas succeeded for decades because it offered an experience worth the journey. The 2026 strategy assumes the experience no longer matters. That assumption will prove to be the most expensive mistake in the city's history. The arrogance behind this bet is staggering. Executives looked at decades of growth and concluded it would continue regardless of how they treated customers. They forgot that loyalty is earned daily and lost instantly. The tourists voting with their feet are delivering a verdict that no earnings call spin can reverse. The comeback will require admitting that the spreadsheet strategies failed and that guests actually matter after all. What do you think? Can Vegas reverse course before it is too late? Or have the spreadsheets already won? Drop your thoughts below and hit subscribe so you do not miss what happens next.